Can you use Arizona ESA funding to fund homeschool sports programs like baseball and basketball or soccer? And what about the equipment like bats and gloves and uniforms that are needed? The answer is absolutely yes. Let me show you how. Yes, Arizona ESA funding does cover all of these things. So the rest of this video is going to explain how can this be, and then how do you do it? First off, how can this be? Remember, the Arizona ESA program is about parent choice, to where now you get to dictate how the funds are used for your students' education, rather than the government saying that's the school you have to go to. Well, think about it. Every school that I know of has sporting programs, has PE classes, and so on and so forth. And so as homeschoolers, we are also given that option to spend our ESA funds in that way. If you look at the handbook, I'm gonna hop over here with you real quick. It really dictates a lot of here's what gets funded. And there's two sections I wanna call your attention to. Supplementary materials, both no documentation and documentation required. If we jump down to that specific section, you can see that things that you can buy for your student without any documentation, the only thing you need is a receipt, right, is here in this list. You can see backpacks, lunch bags, STEM, educated, blah, 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 blah. If you come all the way down, you see right here, physical educations, that is sporting items and gym memberships. So does that mean that we can buy a basketball with ESA funds? Yes, and bats and gloves and uniforms and all of the things that are needed for a PE class or a sporting physical education activity, right? Now, that does not include things like coaching and team fees and field rentals and things like that. That's a whole other section. If you see, so first off, do you see the difference? Supplementary materials, no documentation, meaning you can buy any of these things in this list right here, including what we're talking about right now, with just a receipt. Now, if you want, let me go back here, coaching, or your team, like if you use a club baseball team as part of your curriculum, right? If you need that to be required, you're just gonna move down to this next section. When I say need that to be reimbursed, funded, that's supplementary materials, documentation needed. If you look at this section, what they say is you need a curriculum showing that you need these things. And they give an example in here of a learning to cook curriculum that was created by a parent, or this is just a sample, right? Where somebody created a home ec class and they said they needed all of these things on the screen in order to teach this class. Thus, since they have a curriculum requiring these things, again, think of a home ec class at a public school. All of these things are provided, and you now have the option as a homeschool parent to get those things. So, as I've been working with the Arizona ESA staff, this is a curriculum that I've created, and I've created one for basketball, baseball, and soccer. I'm gonna make them available in the links below this video so you can download them yourself. I'm gonna leave them in doc format so you can modify them to be whatever it is. But this is a physical education activity to where it's saying baseball, and here's everything we're gonna learn in this baseball. Here's all the materials that are required, as well as the tutoring and instruction required. Because these are required right here, as part of the curriculum, you now can have the coaching fees and tutoring, if you will, for this PE class covered by Arizona ESA funds. Now, there is one more thing that you need. The tutor, that is the coach, needs to have some sort of credentials. If they have a high school diploma or a GED or a college degree, any one of those things. So your coach, if they can just give you a copy of their high school diploma or the coaching program that you're in, that will suffice as covering that person is now qualified to teach your student for this class, thus their fees are covered. So now that's the big piece of how you do it. Now, how do you submit it? So I've logged into the class wallet account for one of my students. If you don't know how to get here, that's part of the other ESA videos I've created. I'll put some links to them below so you can jump into that and get started. I'm gonna start a new reimbursement for them. Now, if you are just reimbursing equipment, again, supplementary material, no documentation required, all you have to do is type in the store you got it from. So let's just say you ordered a baseball bat from Amazon, right? Cost you $100, right? Type that in right there, and then drag a copy of that receipt over. Again, no documentation required. I'm gonna hit save. By the way, I just grabbed some generic image online of some receipt just because this is just a sample, but that would be an actual receipt from Amazon or from whatever sporting store is in your area, right? Now, keep in mind, if you bought a bunch of stuff on that receipt and there's just certain things, I always highlight it. I calculate the tax for each one of those items and type it in individually, and so on. So put the receipt in there, hit next. Choose the purse, and in this case, it's a baseball bat. It's sporting equipment, right? So we would just come down here to supplementary materials, no documentation required, other than obviously the receipt, right? Hit next, and now we're at the final submission page, and I'm gonna stop here so we don't throw a bogus entry over to the Arizona ESA crew right there. But that will be reimbursed back to our bank account once it hits approved, once it gets approved. Now, if we wanted to do a reimbursement of, let's just say, some coaching fees, I'm gonna hit start a new reimbursement, and that's where we would say, let's just say coaching fees, right? And let's just say we pay $150 a month for a coach for our son's basketball league, right? Type that in, and we would do this on, we could say coaching fees, we'll just say February or something like that, right? Hit next. Now, here's the big difference. For every submission of things that are supplementary materials documentation required, all that has to go on every single submission. Now, if you've been part of ESA, you're gonna get really fast at doing this. I've done this 100 times, right? For different things that we've done. So you need to upload, one, your curriculum. And again, I'm gonna make samples of these curriculums for you to download in the links below. I've got one for baseball, basketball, soccer, and if you have another sport, grab one of these, tweak it, and make it whatever you want, right? This curriculum should be PDF'd and uploaded every single time you're submitting one of these receipts. The receipt from your coach or the expense highlighted for the coach that was needed to do this. So they're gonna have to give you some sort of proof that you've given this. And what we did for our coach, because some of them weren't even familiar with this, we created a little invoice that represented what we were paying them and just took it to the practice and had him sign it and said, yep, that's a receipt for the payment to me. Along with, and we just grabbed their high school diploma. They gave us a copy of that. Submit that every single month when we submit coaching fees. We upload all three of those things: the invoice, the curriculum, and the high school diploma copy, and then go through. So I'm just going to throw this in here for just to have something that we can move on. This time it's going to be supplementary material documentation required. You got to pick the right category. Next, and then from there, boom, all three of those things will be shown in the images below, and we would submit it to its finale, right? That's it. Through those two things, supplementary materials and documentation required and no documentation required, you can get everything for your sports programs covered by Arizona ESA Funding. Hope this has been informative for you. Have fun with Arizona ESA homeschooling. Bye.